In this video, we're going to talk about writing equations in slope-intercept form, so given different pieces of information. So writing the equation given slope and y-intercept, then we're going to go backwards. I'm going to give you the equation, and you're going to tell me the slope and y-intercept. But you think if you can do one, you can do the other, but I find that students have trouble going backwards sometimes. And number three, given the graph, write the equation. So just a reminder, in slope-intercept form, linear equations are frequently written in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, the steepness of the line, and b is the y-intercept, the location of the line. That's going to be really important when we get to graphing, and you remember that y-intercept is the location, and slope is the steepness of the line. Y equals mx plus b. Given the slope and y-intercept of the line, write the equation in slope-intercept form. All right, so slope-intercept form is something that you're going to want to memorize, so I would write it down every time you're going to use it, just like it is. Mx plus b. And remember that it's called slope-intercept form because it's slope and intercept. So slope is 2, y-intercept is -1. All you're going to do is replace the m with 2 and the b with -1. Now, I didn't put plus a -1 because I'm a rock star algebra student, and I know that plus a negative is the same thing as minus. Number 2, slope is -3, the y-intercept is 2. So the -3 goes in front of the x, and the y-intercept goes at the end. That's it. All right, now let's go backwards. Given the equation, tell me what the slope and the y-intercept are. Well, again, these are in slope-intercept form. They're not always, though. Okay, so there's other ways to write this equation. But for right now, we're giving them to you in slope-intercept form. So slope is the number in front of x, so this is slope. And this is the y-intercept. And we're going to write it like this, with the x-coordinate of 0, because an intercept means that x is 0. Where it crosses the y-axis is where x is 0. So we're going to write it like a point. That means we're a rock star. We write it like this instead of just writing 2. Number 2, the slope. The steepness of the line is -3, so in your head, picture what a negative sloped graph looks like. That's what this should look like. And the y-intercept is 0, -5. That's where I get the -5 from. And finally, now, given the graph, find the slope and the y-intercept. So the slope is the steepness of the line, and the y-intercept is where you begin. So I'm going to start with a y-intercept. It's where it crosses the y-axis. So that point is 0, 3. That's why I had you write it like that, because that's 0, 3. That's the y-intercept of 3. And then the slope, I'm going to run first. Remember, slope is easy and fun. Just remember, rise over rise. Vertical change over horizontal change from one point to the next. So this is a good point to go to. Remember, you want to go to a point that's out of crosshairs. You don't want to go to a point where you're not going to get a full block. So 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks, and then 1 block. And it's positive. So my slope is 1/4, and my y-intercept is 0, 3. What would the equation of this line be? If you said 1/4 x plus 3, you are correct. And remember, this equation is the rule for all the inputs and outputs here. I can find another solution on the graph using this equation if I want. All right, let's do one more. Let's start with the Y-intercept. The Y-intercept is 0, 4. And the slope, rise over run. I'm going to run first. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Run, 1, 2. Notice how I went down 2? I almost always run to the right unless I can't fit that way on a graph. 1, 2, 3, 4. But then I sometimes have to go down, which means it's a negative, or up, which means it's a positive. So rise over run, vertical change over horizontal change. Oops, that can be reduced. Which you'll remember from a previous video, it means there's another point in between that I didn't see. Equals m, gonna circle it. I should have made it equals m and circle it on the last one. And my y-intercept is 0, 4. That's b. And again, I didn't write it on the last one. You should write it on this one. Y equals, the slope is 1/2, x plus 4. Negative, because it's going down. All right, so now hopefully you know how to do slope-intercept form. You can write equations given slope and y-intercept. Given an equation, find the slope and the y-intercept, and given the graph, you can write an equation.